My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I have a very special guest. You might see her here if you're on YouTube with me watching. This is my I want to say treasured friend, Molly Mandelberg. Did I say that right? Yes. She's not just a friend though. I didn't just bring on a friend because friends are awesome. She's actually a brilliant business person, a marketing wizard, and the creator of a lot of really different things in the world. And I want to talk about some of it. I don't know if we can go into all of it today. But what I wanted I'm actually got really curious when I was like reading through your bio, and I'm like, I don't actually know the answer to this question. So I'm going to wait to get you on to ask you, why Wild Hearts Rise Up. So those of you, you're going to see this in the bio. Molley is the co-founder or the founder, not co-founder. You're the founder of Wild Hearts Rise Up. I see it all over your marketing. I want to know about Wild Hearts Rise Up.
Yeah. So when I started my business, I was doing hypnotherapy, and I had named my business Full Spectrum Hypnotherapy for two reasons. One, I wanted to be able to use rainbows in my branding, and full spectrum made that make sense. And also because I was not willing to choose sort of a niche yet. I didn't know who my people were or how I wanted to talk to them. And so full spectrum gave me this like blanket statement of like, I can help anybody do anything. And hypnosis is that like wide spectrum. And as I started learning more about business, and as I started learning more about me and who my people are and who I really want to serve, which is like, who do I want to spend the next 3 to 5 to 20 years sitting in a room talking to? I wanted to refine who that was and get really clear on that. And so I started doing some wordsmithing when I moved away from hypnosis and into coaching and into business, marketing and all of that, of how do I call out my people and how do I call them out with what they desire? And so I was trying to put the right words together, and Wild Hearts is like my people. I'm nomadic. I'm like a wild creator. I love making things. I love traveling in the world and being in nature. And so Wild Hearts felt like that's my community. That's my village. And then Rise Up is what we want to do. We want to rise above our limitations. We want to rise above the things that are stopping us or the hangups we see in what we're creating, so that we can actually show up and lift the temperature of consciousness and magic and beauty and healing on this planet. And so that's sort of the background of it.
Okay. So if anyone is in business right now or has a business, you just said something so brilliant, and I need to put a spotlight on it. So you're looking at I can't remember exactly how you worded it, but who do I want to spend the next 5 years in a room talking to? And the people that, and then you matched words to that energy of those people. That's so brilliant. Because how often are we entrepreneurs feeling like we're in a sea, just trying to like, I can have some attention, like, rather than looking at creating this village of people that resonate with you and that you want to actually spend time with, and you actually want to create change in the world with. Yeah, that's fucking brilliant. This is part of the brilliance of Molley, by the way. So one thing I've worked with Molley for, I don't know, how long have we been working together for? A couple of years?
I think we met 5 years ago.
Wow.
Almost in February. I think it'll be 5 years.
In February. Oh, it's our friend anniversary. You've really mentored me a lot with business and marketing, and we've had a lot of create chats, and I love how you can look at something totally different. So I go online and I'm watching, I'm on all the webinars of the people like, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do this for your business, right? Something that's always been missing for me that you have is you also have the energetics behind it. You have the question behind it. You have the curiosity behind it. And that works for me. That's my jam right there. So what is that for you? So are you just being this? When you work with clients, or you have groups actually as well, I don't, if you want to talk about that as well, how does that show up for you energetically?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much sixth sense, I would say. I think it is more channeled and more like an awareness of something else that knows better than the person of Molley might know. And I know that in my work with my clients, I'll start talking in response to someone and I have no idea the thing that's about to come out of my mouth, or I'll tap into something that's the missing link for them that neither of us were aware of a few moments ago. And I could take credit of that and say like, oh, it's me. I'm so smart. And like, look at all this stuff I know. And I do know quite a lot. I understand these systems and these processes very deeply because I geek out on them so hard for my own business and so hard for my clients to help them make things work. But like you said, there's all these webinars and there's all these people telling you how to do things the right way. And you can have two people running the exact same business, serving the exact same clients with the exact same tools, and they are two completely different beings. And so the ways that they're going to go about showing up and serving those people and reaching them through their marketing is going to be different. And so there isn't a one size fits all like pattern to that. And I think my ability to ask my clients questions and pull forward what they're really wanting to say or share and how we can do that with as much ease and downstream as possible. That's, yeah, my superpower.
Yeah. That's an amazing superpower.
It's fun.
Oh, thank you. Wow. I would like to talk about, and kind of jumping around a lot with you, and that's something that's great about you as a person, that we can do that. And when Molly and I have conversations, they're often not linear, and I adore that about you because
like
it's not linear. Can't do it. But how many people believe that business, marketing, all the strategies has to be linear, has to be in a box? I want to look at the application of Wild Hearts Rising with business. Yeah. Like how, because that to me, if like a wildness is not a controlled linear thing.
Yeah.
And rising up, there's no perfect scale that you can really be on for that.
Totally. And I think it's really about finding the being you-ness to your business that suddenly makes all the efforts you're putting into your marketing or your sales funnels or your courses that you're creating actually work. And it is so much an energetic thing. And that's why, over the years, after starting my business and it taking off, I had this notion that people were hiring me just for the technology. They were hiring me just for the support to connect the dots of the funnel and do the thing they don't know how to do yet. And that was my job. And so there was this, consciousness, like magic side of me that was like, oh, what about me? Like, I want to come and play. And there's so much more to this. And so it took some courage for me to synthesize those two. And now almost every program that I run now has both sides to it. It's like, here's the thing that we're talking about doing. Here's all the different ways you could do it for you. And also, how are you bringing you into that? Or how are you getting the judgments and bullshit out of the way so that you are really what's coming through all those things that you're putting out into the world? And my favorite place that I do that is my program that I call Magic, which stands for Magnetic Influencer Collective. And over the course of 6 months, I get to sort of hold space for these powerful female creators to have a place to navigate what's the energetic component of my business and how can I turn the volume of that up as I go out and show up on social media or start emailing my list or start using an email list in the first place. And like, how am I going to bring that into all of the content that I'm putting out into the world and inviting people into, so that it's that vibration of their actual energetic fingerprint that's what's being broadcast, and that can bring their people in. That's the magnetic part.
Thank you for, I was like, the magnetic part was really popping for me. So what is that? Share a little bit more for our audience. Like, what does that mean to magnetize? Like, what the magnetic part? Some people think like, you know, you sit there and meditate for 10 hours and then you're going to magnetize things.
Yeah. I mean, that helps for sure. If you want to do it that way, it takes a lot longer that way. But yeah, I mean, I think the magnetics is really about awareness. It's about recognizing the parts of you that are most dynamic, the parts of your work that are most needed, and figuring out how to synthesize those two as you share your message, as you reach your people, as you talk to potential clients, as you put together a sales page. How can you bring that, the energy of what's possible, into it? And once you're tapped into that, once you're like getting whatever limiting beliefs or imposter syndrome or whatever crap is in the way of you fully standing in your power, your potency, once that stuff's out of the way and you find the, you know, the sauce, the special magic that you're bringing into your marketing and into your messaging, that it all becomes easier. And it's like people are showing up out of the woodwork, and people are referring you that you never asked to send emails about you. And, you know, it starts to become this magnetic pull to you and to your business and to the work that you're doing that has a life of its own. It's no longer about, you know, like the linear, if I do this, then people will buy this. And it's like people start buying things because they're showing up to looking for you because they've so matched that energy of what you're putting out. Yeah. And there's also like a magnetic field around us. I mean, there's science behind this, quantum physics wise, that each of us has a magnetic frequency around our bodies. And when we give that attention and we focus on clarifying that, it gets stronger. And so the people who resonate at the same frequency are vibrationally matched and show up to match it.
Wow. And then part of the, like the wildness keeps coming up. That's kind of like a wild marketing, because it's not that controlled. It's like the wildness of nature, essentially, like this person coming here and this person coming out here. And then your business can grow and enrich such as nature can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I would love to talk a little bit about quizzes. This was something that I didn't even know as a way to reach people or engage with them. Like I had seen those, like, what's your favorite Disney princess?
Yeah.
Or what Disney princess are you? And I was like, I probably am not one of those. And so we were talking and you had brought up the idea to create a quiz, and we created one, which has just changed so much in my business. But what I really want to talk about is the one that you just created for your business, and to kind of give people a little sense of this different way of being that magnetic draw.
Yeah. So just to start out with, quizzes, even that Disney princess one was probably useful for some reason in some way.
Yeah, people love it.
What kind of tennis shoe would you be, or whatever? But I started geeking out on quizzes because I've tried and used so many different ways to grow my list. I've tried, you know, free gifts that are PDFs and blueprints and webinars and all these different things that will pop your list to a little bit higher, but not sustainably continue to grow them unless you're pushing traffic to them all the time, which is also kind of true for quizzes. But quizzes have this engagement quality that you get to automatically ask people questions. They get to find themselves in the answers. They get to learn something new about themselves in the process. And you also get to sort of pre-qualify them to see if they're actually a match for your business or not. And it's all happening automatically in this like gamified, fun process. And so that idea turned me on so much. I spent a couple years perfecting the first quiz I created. And then I started running like a super cheap Facebook ad to it, and like 14x'd my email list in the first 2 years of using that quiz. So it was huge. And that's why I got so excited about it. I started teaching people how to make quizzes. I helped you make one. And this past year, the past few years, I've had a dramatic up-leveling in my relationship to money. Many of those big shifts happened in working with Cassy, because Cassy is such a brilliant facilitator. And it kept tapping me on the shoulder of like, you've figured something out here. You're using a practice on a daily basis that's so simple, and that every time I forget to do it, money gets fucky. And every time I remember to do it, money gets easy again. And you have to share this. You have to put it out there. And so I created a course called Peace with Money. And over 100 people came through it the first time. I let 100 people go through it for free. And money miracles were happening right and left. And as I was thinking, you know, how do I want to keep sharing this? A quiz kept tapping me on the shoulder, and I was like, okay, I've got to make a quiz. So I just created a quiz that asks you what your money mindset flavor is. And at the end, you get to learn about your flavor and what that means about where money is, how money is in your life right now. And then you also get a recipe for how to start changing that flavor or using that flavor profile in a new way. And it isn't a food recipe, it's an energetic recipe.
I know. I gotta, this is so awesome. I want everyone to just marinate for a second with the play, like we see all the money stuff. It's like, get money right, like level up, like all these things, these catchy words. And here you are going, I'm going to create something with flavor. I'm going to create something totally delicious and different. And then you get a recipe. Oh my God. Okay. Say more. I want to hear, you were telling me a little bit before the show, like the different possibilities.
Yeah. So there's 5 different types you could end up with if you take the money flavor quiz, and they're spicy, salty, sweet, savory, and umami, which is spelled OOHMAMI.
That's so fun.
Yeah. Because there are so many different places we can all be with money. And the truth is, whether you have a ton of money or whether you have no money, you can have peace with money, or you could have drama and trauma and upset and struggle and, you know, like resistance. And it's not a reflection of how much money you have, what your state is. There are very rich people who are still in like stress and trauma about their money. And that doesn't have to be how it is. And for those of us who want more money in our lives, maybe matching that energetically first, definitely matching that energetically first is the way to get there. So people who have a spicy money flavor are usually really mad about how money's going in their life. Salty is usually a little bit resentful of how it is, like trying not to look at it at all. Sweet is like, I think it's going great, but like not paying attention to it, not trying not to pay attention, putting the head in the sand kind of situation. Savory is like, I've kind of got a hold on it, but like it's still causing me stress. And then umami is like clean and clear, like figured this out and feeling really good about it. And even from there, there's more magic and potency and beauty that can come when we focus our attention on how to expand from that space. So there's potential for growth and evolution in all of the steps.
I love it. I love marketing. I love business. This stuff really lights me up. And part of it is because my sense is even in the marketing, and you already talked about it, like you're asking people questions and they get to know more about themselves from the questions. For me, if I'm going to market, I want that marketing to be a contribution in some way to someone's life, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. And I love that we vibe on that same thing.
Yeah.
So why business? Like, let's get personal again. I want to dive in a little bit more about you. What got you why were you even drawn to business?
It was a total accident. I was running a business as a hypnotherapist, and I was like aware of the possibility of reaching more than one-to-one. I wanted to know what one-to-many was like. How do I teach groups, or how do I lead workshops, or how do I have courses that could sell automatically? I had been nomadic for most of the last 13 years. And I remember traveling when I was like a super broke hippie, which now I'm not broke, but I'm still a hippie. But I remember traveling and seeing people who somehow didn't have to go home to make money. Somehow they were able to just keep traveling. And like, maybe they stopped to work on their computer for a month, or they flew home to be some badass for a month, but then they could keep vagabonding as much as they wanted. And this idea that I could make a living while still being my nomadic traveling self was like this future, wow, I wonder how the heck that could happen. So when I started my one-on-one practice as a hypnotherapist, that was still in my awareness of like, there could be a way now that you're suddenly accidentally a business owner, like, whoops, like there could be a way that this turns into you making a living while being able to travel. And like, fortunately, the internet and the tools that are available to us now, it's easier than ever to be able to run a business like this online if you know what you're doing. So I went deep down the rabbit hole of like, what are the tools? How do they work? How do they connect? And how can I make it like functional? And I was doing this from a place of like wanting to help people through hypnotherapy and then through coaching. And then I went so deep down that rabbit hole that I had a knack for these tools. I had a capacity where I understood how they went together. I finally like learned how the pieces of the puzzle worked and started making them work for myself. And then I was in a community of a few hundred coaches and holistic practitioners who, while they're amazing at what they do, they usually suck at talking about what they do, and they suck at technology because it's not the same mental space. So I was like, okay, I've got these skills, and I started letting some of my friends hire me, and that just took off into my marketing being the way that people find me now and buy courses and fall in love with what I'm offering. So yeah, if you told Molly 10 years ago that she would be teaching marketing, I'd be like, no. If you told her she'd be living in a van and traveling still, I'd be like, probably.
Well, when you were talking about that, Molly, 10 years ago, and I was tapping into that person, it was as though like I could sense your wild heart. Like, was that your wild heart, like to travel the world, to travel and be able to contribute to people?
Yeah. And I think I've always done that, but I didn't own it or know I was doing it in the way that I do now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many other people have this, there's like this wild heart, like there's this thing that wants to come out. And that's where I see the wildness. Like, it's like, this is like the wild, like rising I would like to have in my life. And how cool is it that they can actually come to you, and we'll have links to everything that you are offering. And they actually have support, and they actually have someone there with them. You were kind of a pioneer and going at it, right? Which is fine, because some people, they want to do it. They want to do it on their own. They want to do it that way. But this energy of all these people coming together, like rising together, is so beautiful. Yeah. and powerful. Yeah. So your Oracle deck is talking. I know we're getting close to the end of the time, but it's not stopping. So I'm just gonna, would you talk a little bit about that, and what was the inspiration for that?
Yeah. So that first quiz, I'll grab it for anybody who's watching us on video. It's right here. That first quiz that I created, I was trying to figure out what I wanted the archetypes or the endpoints to be. And I was looking at the major arcana of the tarot, and I pulled these 5 cards, and then a very badass spiritual friend of mine was like, did you know that the major arcana relates to the Kabbalah, which is the tree of life? So then I went down that tunnel and realized that the 5 cards that I pick actually were associated with points on the tree of life. And the tree of life is basically a map for how an idea comes into physical reality. So how something that's like occurring to us or inspiring us comes into the physical form and gets born. So this could be how a book gets written, how business gets built, how a baby gets born, how an art form comes to life. And this like framework popped out at me and just turned me on so much that I used that for the quiz that I made. What level of thought leader are you? And then I've been wanting to make an Oracle deck, and it just turned out that the 6 suits of the deck are now those 5 cards and energies. And then I took another one because the Wheel of Fortune wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted money to be a part of the conversation in the deck too. So that's sort of the framework, and I designed what 1 through 10 would be, and then related that 1 through 10, like physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, to what the Fool's physical would be, or what the Magician's emotional would be, and built the whole deck like that. So there's 60 cards, and I wrote a whole guidebook to go along with it. And it's got sort of a life of its own now. There's people out there who are like obsessed with it and use it every day and message me like the card that they pulled for the day. Our mutual friend, John Ashford, is actually teaching a whole class where he pulls a card each class, and they riff off that for the whole duration of the course.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's really fun. And it was super fun to make. I was trying not to do the art for it because I thought, make a better artist, make the cards. And every artist I approached was like already working on a deck or didn't want to do it. And then I was like, okay, Molly, like technically you're an artist. You could just do that yourself. So I did all the art for all 60 cards and it was really fun. Yeah. It's just this little magical pep talk deck. You can use it for like a traditional spread, like past, present, future, or ask a question. Or I like to just pull a card a day and see what it says.
So if we looked at everything, like, and guys, this isn't everything that she's created or accomplished. Like we
Not
just
at all.
brushed over like some of the things. If you looked at that like journey that you've had over let's go 10 years. Let's just go to that 10 years ago, Molly. How often did doubt come up?
A lot.
A lot?
Yeah.
So what was like your greatest way around that?
I think my willingness to say, yeah, it might not work out, but I'm going to try it anyway. Or like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm pretty sure I could learn how to do this. Or like, I'm going to ask somebody who knows how to do this, or I'm going to research it until I know how to do this. That my willingness to show up and explore and get curious and keep looking at it. If it was bothering me enough, if it was like tapping me on the shoulder enough or asking to be the center of my attention enough, I would take action to show up and ask about it and look into it and give something my attention until it came to fruition. And I think that when I sign off my podcasts or my videos that I do, I always say, ask big questions and take bold action because you're here for a reason. And I think those two things are like the crux of everything I've created. I asked the question of like, what is this? What does it want to be? And does it need to come to life now? Or is it sitting on the shelf till it's ready? And then what do I have to do to like fulfill my part in this thing coming to life, or in myself growing into that next thing I wanted to be? And those two in tandem are powerful.
Wow. I feel like we just completed the show.
There it is.
Like a massive possibility for people to kind of explore themselves and get really curious with. And, whether you have a business or not, these are like also tools for life, like what we've explored and what you've shared here today. I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I think we have to have you on again because there's like a million different other things that we could explore. Yay! So if you guys want anything more with Molly, please check out all the links below and engage with her because she's really phenomenal. I'm lucky to know you.
Thanks. I feel the same.
Bye.
Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?